sure you just marry them. And my entire fear of my life was that my daughter would never be married. So whoever it is, the first person, okay, it's fine, let's get married. Compared to, well, let me do some research. Who are they? Who's their family? Let them know each other. And obviously no dating. We do not have dating in Islam. But through the parents, let them know each other for a while. Our teacher, Sheikh Ahmad al-Mujtahidi, which was a traditional teacher in Tehran, would say, allow the young people to a time period for them to get to know one another. Allow a time period for them to get to one another. Because a lot of times they find out later on they don't get along, their personalities don't mix, don't match. So therefore, do not rush anything. One person said something was interesting. He says, don't rush anything. He said, don't even rush to go to Salat. He was an alim. He said, don't even rush to go to Salat, for example. Don't rush anything. Because when you just rush in general, one of the things at least that happens is you forget God. You forget God. And I myself rush, I'm telling myself as well, because we have a busy schedule sometimes, we have to get to different places. But find a good balance. Some people are so relaxed that when you go to their house or they come to your house, they never want to leave. They're too relaxed. They're too chill. Brother, don't you have something in the morning to do? Don't you have something? I invited you, for example. It's done, finished. You keep wanting to talk and talk. That's that extreme that you're too relaxed. Then others that are always come antsy-pantsy. They're always in a rush. And they go nowhere. Always rushing when they drive, on the horn. Go, it's green. Always rushing people. But you look and you say, where did you go? Nowhere. But that person that has a plan in Imam Ali alayhi salam, and one of his last advice was about nazm and organization. If you have organization in your schedule, you can plan, inshallah, everything. You can put everything in your daily schedule. But if you don't have a plan, just rushing for this, rushing for that, you don't really get to enjoy life anymore. So one of the understandings that we can get from this verse is that general mankind, خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانِ مِنْ عَجَلٍ. Insan loves to go rush. And then the Quran mentions here, سَأُرِيكُمْ آيَاتِي فَلَا تَسْتَعْجِلُونَ. I will show my signs, so do not impatiently urge me. Some say this tafsir is that Rasulullah will bring more miracles. Don't rush. Don't wait. Don't force Rasulullah or Allah to bring more miracles now. There will be a time for it. And some have mentioned 3,000, 4,000 miracles of Rasulullah. Don't say that our Prophet did not have miracles. Yes, his main miracle was the Holy Quran. But every time he told the future, that is a miracle. Every event that he told the future, that is by itself a miracle. The Quran was a miracle, but do not rush. Soon you will see signs of Allah in Rasulullah, so do not rush. وَيَقُولُونَ مَتَى هَذَا الْوَعْدِ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. And then they had questions with Rasala, with prophethood. Now they question the hereafter. When is this promise if you should be truthful? When is the day of judgment? When is heaven and hell? When is this going to take place? You're scaring us and threatening us of the hereafter. When is it going to be? لَوْ يَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا حِينَ لَا يُكُفُّونَ عَنْ وُجُوهِهِمْ النَّارِ وَلَا عَنْ ظُهُورِهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يُنصَرُونَ. And if those who believed but knew the time when they will not avert the fire from their faces or from their backs, and they will not be aided. So Allah then warns those who disbelieved a time that they cannot avert this fire. This is a reality. This fire that is promised is a reality. One of our scholars by the name of Sheikh Ja'far al-Shushtari once told the people, for example, and he was a very popular speaker, maybe 80, 100, I can't remember, maybe 80, 100 years ago. And he would give minbar in Tehran and thousands of people would come. At that time, thousands of people. Some would say even the king and the Shah of back then would come and listen to his speeches. There he would say to the people, I smell fire. what is going on, for example? There's something, I smell something. And people were afraid because if there's in a large gathering and there's fire, it's an emergency. So then at that time, people started rushing and running, fire, fire, for example, running, rushing. And he told the people, calm down. Me, Ja'far, his name is Ja'far Kazzab, Ja'far the liar, is telling you there is fire. You run around, you rush around. But 124,000 prophets came and told you there is fire. You do not move. You do not rush. I just said there's fire and you thought there's fire and you rushed. You moved. But 124,000 prophets from Adam all the way to our prophet has said there's a fire. Protect yourself from the fire. Free yourself from the fire. You do not move. Many people, they take this threat that is for everyone. It is not just for, say, the non-Muslim. It is also for the Muslim as well. It is for everyone. Some people take it as just a threat for example, okay, I know at the end I'm going to go to heaven. Allah is going to treat me. I know there's no way He can take me to hell. They think as if they have a guarantee from Allah. But look at many of those that have passed in the grave. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam mentions to them, I am worried for my followers, for their grave, their barzakh, what's going to happen there. Because the barzakh is a fire from the hell fire, or rawdatul min riyad al-jannah, or a heaven from the gardens of heaven. He is afraid of the barzakh because that is when there's tamheed. We have to become purified, cleansed. So this threat is for everyone. This, the threat from the beginning of death, from the angel of death to the hellfire, is a reality. So therefore we get into this topic about, let's read the last verse. بَلْ تَأْتِيهِمْ بَغْتَةً فَتَنْبَتْهُمْ بَلْ تَأْتِيهِمْ بَغْتَةً فَتَبْهَتُهُمْ فَلَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ رَدَّهَا وَلَا هُمْ يُنْظَرُونَ. Rather, it will come to them unexpectedly, the fire, Jahannam, and bewilder them, or the day of judgment, and they will not be able to repel it, nor will they be reprived. So again, Quran, when you recite in Shahr Ramadan, Quran is how you've been doing. Many verses about hell, many verses about heaven. Over and over and over, how many chapters, how many verses do we have warning us of the hellfire, warning of us of heaven? Why? Because there's a significance, it's very important for a person to remember death, to remember the hereafter. And these last maybe 8 minutes, 10 minutes, we'll talk about what is the importance of remembering death. One is that it is the most important message of the prophets, the hereafter. The hereafter is one of the most important messages of the prophets. Two, some have calculated 1/5 of the entire Quran is about the hereafter. Something over 1,000 verses about the hereafter. Three, you see in the books of Hadith, volume 6, 7, 8 of Bihal al-Anwar, we have entire volumes of Hadith from the Imams that talk about the hereafter. So therefore you see that we live in a society today that they do not want to remember death. But for us, should we remember it? Do you have to be old to remember it? Is it for the young as well? Is it depressing to think about the hereafter? Is it depressing to think about death? All of this is false. Because it is one of the most constructive beliefs that a person can have is the belief of death and afterlife and accountability. Meaning that I believe in a hereafter, that every atom's weight of good that happens, I will be asked, it will be seen. Every time I said something to someone, even when I was joking, and it harmed them, it hurt their feelings, I will be asked. Every time I did something good for someone, it will be, for example, it will be shown and seen. So how constructive is this when you have, one, God-fearing people, and two, you have people that believe with conviction of the hereafter and the accountability and hisab. They are afraid. I've seen students in the hawza, they are so afraid. These shoes that you have here, They're so afraid even sometimes to step on them because it's haqqun nas, haqqun nas. They bump into someone's motorcycle, whatever, they're like, haqqun nas, let me write a letter for him, for example. Are you okay? Is it okay? It's haqqun nas. Because they're careful. They're careful of the rights of believers. But when someone does not care of the hereafter, who cares? Did they find out? I broke his window. Ran into his door, for example. No, did anyone see? Let me give you some gas and go. Nobody caught me. It's a fine, right? So we have this situation that today modern man does not believe firmly that they are being watched and recorded. If I put, for example, from tomorrow, this camera followed you, a drone, followed you wherever you did and recorded whatever you did and said, would you behave differently? Everywhere you went, every salam alaikum, hello, at work, at home, you're being watched. For example, cameraman comes with this camera. It's a nice camera too, imagine. Maybe we should try it and see if it changes our lives. Cameraman comes and follows, and whatever you do, he's filming. And then it's going to be played for the entire world, for example. How careful would we be? Oh, everyone's watching. Wow, I'm live. Imagine just the fact you'd be live on TV, how much you'd be like this. You go like this 100 times, like this, just to make sure you're okay. So that is how we're being watched, is that in the day of judgment, all of our actions will be replayed, reenacted. That book will be shown, those actions, some say, will be played again, we'll perform it again. It's not just as if a book where you just read it. We'll do those actions. The hands will witness, the limbs will witness, the mouth will bear witness, the time will bear witness, the ground will bear witness. We have so many witnesses against us, everything will be played. So therefore, when someone has this real belief that everything's being watched, I'll be so careful. And I'm telling this to myself. And Shahr Ramadan is one of those months. If we really believe in death, in the hereafter, in hisab, then I will be super careful how I treat people. There will be no more dhulm. There'll be no more. That's why Shahid Mutahari mentions very nicely. He says, if you want the world to be in peace, if you want peace on earth, we have to work individually on ourselves. We have to rid ourselves of anger. We have to rid ourselves of jealousy. Rid ourselves of all those temptations that cause injustice. Once we are fixed, once you have, for example, I add to this belief that I will be watched and I will be having to answer to Allah, who is the witness and also the judge, then I will be super careful. Then you can have a society that will never do dhulm to one another. There you won't even need laws. We have laws because somebody mistreated someone else, took the rights of someone else. That's usually where laws come from. Something happened, then they wrote the law. The laws would just be from people. If you think about all the legislation and laws that exist, it's because so people don't harm each other. Well, what if they had the belief that, and they knew the rights of one another, and they were careful, they would not need police officers, they would not need anyone to enforce the law because nobody would steal from one another. Everyone would actually give more respect, would give from their own share to the other. You wouldn't need of law enforcement. You wouldn't need all this. Would be a perfect society. Why? With belief in the hereafter. Belief that everything I do, I will be asked. And if I do good in this world, I will be given reward forever, eternity. And if I harm others, I harm myself, I'll be punished. So therefore, if you really think about this, Islam is the best solution to world peace. Meaning that everyone work on yourselves so you're not wolves and you're not lions anymore. You're insan, now you're humans. Now that you're humans, you're going to behave. You're going to stop joking and ridiculing others, making fun of them, backbiting, harming them, stealing, ripping them off. We're going to be true, inshallah, true Muslims, and then the world will be completely beautiful and peaceful. So therefore, we need to remember death. It is very significant. If we are old, we need to remember death. If we're young, we need to remember death because it's so constructive. It is in no way depressing because you cannot be depressed about something that you're preparing yourself for. It's a reality. Is it better not to prepare yourself and not to think about it, or to prepare yourself and think about it, and then you say, actually, this is the day of justice. This is actually, I'm preparing myself for the day that justice will be served. Whoever was mazloom can get their right now. Whoever's oppressed can get their right from the oppressed. And sometimes it will come, and the tradition mentions, who are those that are at the most loss? The Prophet mentions in hadith. Who is in the most loss? They say that poor person, for example, he prayed, he fasted, he did hajj, he did all these actions, and it was accepted. He took it to the hereafter. MashaAllah, he's got all these actions, good. But now, he's got haqqun nas, the rights of the people. He mistreated people. Now what do? Your salat to that brother. He's only going to be satisfied if he takes your salat. Give me a salat. He was very cruel to me. Okay, now I don't have salat anymore. Fasting, this brother. I always used to, for example, the one brother I ran into with my car, for example, and I ran away before the police can see me. His windshield or whatever, his mirrors were broken. Okay, here's some action here. Oh, this brother, I used to backbite and make fun of him all the time in school. Okay, now I have nothing. And Rasulullah says, these are the true losers. They brought it all the way to the day of judgment. It was accepted. But now they have to give it to him, A, B, C. Now there's nothing left. And what are they going to do on that day? That day that everyone is thirsty for action. Everyone wants amal salih. Just like today, everyone's thirsty for dirham and dinar and money. They're going to be thirsty for amal salih, action. Give it to me, give it to me. And there'll be nothing left. You'll be mafloos, you'll be bankrupt. The true bankrupt person is that one. He becomes bankrupt on the day of judgment. God, inshallah, will not make us like this. May God preserve our actions and keep them, inshallah, to the day of judgment until we meet Allah, and preserve them for us. May Allah give us a very active and fresh belief about the hereafter that allows us to have good concentration and focus on our good actions in this world, inshallah. May Allah forgive, it is Thursday night, the believing men and women, inshallah, and make us of the companions of the Imam of the age and expedite his return with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.